My brother didn't just push me out of my wheelchair, he destroyed my dignity in front of the entire family. "Stop the act!" he screamed, his voice booming over the sound of the barbecue. As I crumpled to the concrete, the sound of 50 people laughing erupted like a sick round of applause. They saw a liar. They saw a scammer milking his own mother for sympathy. But what none of them saw was the man standing quietly behind them, my surgeon, and with just 5 words he brought their entire world crashing down. My palms slammed into the scorching patio first, followed by my shoulder and the side of my head. The world didn't go black, but it tilted into a dizzying, sickening spin. The backyard blurred as if I were intoxicated, despite not having touched a drop of alcohol. 50 faces loomed over me, some jeering, others holding up their phones to record. Tyler, my older brother, stood over me, his chest heaving, face flushed with a toxic mixture of misplaced rage and 3 cans of cheap beer. "Cut the performance, Marcus," he roared, his voice carrying clearly to the neighbors down the street. It was the same tired script played out 100 times before. I remained on the sun-baked concrete of my aunt's patio. My wheelchair lay overturned a few feet away, one wheel still rotating with a rhythmic clicking sound in the July heat. Agony ripped through my right leg, sending jagged bolts of pain shooting up my spine. It was the familiar, crushing sensation I'd forced myself to breathe through for 26 months. My vision blurred at the edges, white-hot and blinding. The family reunion simply swirled around me, treating me like a piece of broken furniture that didn't belong. Someone cranked up the music. A child sprinted by, chasing a wiffle ball. The air was heavy with the smell of charring burgers and cut grass, underscored by the metallic tang of blood in my mouth from where I'd bitten my tongue. "Get up, Marcus," Tyler demanded, dripping with vindication. "Everyone is watching. Drop the charade." I tried to leverage myself upward, but my arms trembled violently. The rough patio surface had shredded my palms, and I could see jagged pebbles embedded in the raw, bleeding skin of my hand, glowing like garnets. "Look at him," Tyler declared, pivoting to address the relatives as if he were delivering a closing statement in a courtroom. "He's been exploiting this disability for 2 years, ever since the accident nobody actually saw." "I was there," my mother interjected, her voice thin and wavering, the sound of a woman who had been eroded by years of these exact family dynamics. "You found him at the foot of the stairs," Tyler shot back. "That isn't witnessing. For all we know, he took a dive on purpose." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. My cousin Jake, a 23-year-old living at home, stepped into the light. "I'm telling you, I saw him walking at the store last month. He was in the cereal aisle." The murmurs grew into a chorus of nods and whispers. "That was physical therapy," I managed to choke out from the ground, my voice small and hollow. "I told everyone about the outpatient program at the hospital." "Sure it was," Tyler scoffed. He kicked my wheelchair, the aluminum frame ringing sharply. "Meanwhile, you've been living off disability checks, lounging in Mom's basement, gaming and ordering takeout on her dime while the rest of us actually work." "I can't work," I whispered. "You won't work," Tyler countered, looming so close I could smell the barbecue sauce on his breath. "There's a massive difference, little brother. My Uncle Richard, who made a living selling insurance and talking about self-reliance, raised his smartphone like a weapon. "I'm filming this," he announced. "For evidence. We've all been coddling this nonsense for too long. Someone needs to defend the truth." I searched the faces around me. My mom was wringing her hands by the picnic table. Aunt Linda, the reunion host who had forced me to come, stood with her arms crossed, looking at me with pure disdain. My grandmother sat under the oak tree, fanning herself with a paper plate, watching me with the detached interest of someone viewing a bad reality show. No one stepped forward. "The doctors said," I began. "The doctors said maybe," Tyler interrupted, feeding off the crowd's energy. "Maybe you'll walk, maybe it's permanent. You've been living off maybe for 24 months while Mom bankrupts herself. He looks awfully comfortable in that chair," my grandmother remarked loudly. "Like he's been practicing." Tyler snatched my wallet from my pocket, brandishing it like a piece of contraband. "Check this out. Disability card, $837 a month. Plus, Mom covers rent, food, and every medical expense. I have bills to pay." My throat tightened. My hands shook, not just from the fall, but from the humiliation. "You have excuses," He hurled my wallet at me. It landed on my chest, spilling open. My old driver's license stared up at me, a photo from before when I could stand without aid. "The free ride stops today, Marcus, right now." The crowd actually started clapping. They looked at Tyler as if he were a hero in a movie about standing up to a villain. "Tyler, that's enough." Mom finally spoke, but her plea lacked any authority. "No, Mom, he's bleeding you dry." Tyler's tone shifted to faux concern when addressing her. "You took out a second mortgage for him. You're 62, and you'll be paying for his laziness until you're 80. Mom's face flushed. She didn't deny it. "I never asked you to do that," I said to her. "You never told her to stop either," Tyler hissed, pointing a finger at me. He crouched down, invading my space. "Stand up right now, or I'm calling the cops for fraud. You'll go to jail, Marcus." Honestly, that would be for the best. "I can't." The pain in my leg was escalating, the kind of sharp, agonizing throb that meant I'd torn or displaced something serious. "Stand up," the chant began, 50 voices. Even the neighbors were watching. My Aunt Linda was clapping in rhythm. I remained on the ground, paralyzed not by choice, but by the reality of my spinal damage and the rods holding my back together. Tyler grabbed my shirt and yanked me partially off the ground. "I'm finished watching you manipulate everyone. You're a con artist and a... That is my patient you are assaulting." The chanting died instantly. Everything froze. Tyler's grip slackened but didn't release. A man walked into the center of the circle. Mid-50s, Asian, wearing khakis and a navy polo. He held a diet soda with the casual confidence of someone who had been watching the entire spectacle. His face was a mask of calm. Tyler shoved me back down. "Who the hell are you?" "Doctor." "James Chen." He took a calm sip of his soda. "Marcus's orthopedic surgeon, among other credentials." The silence was absolute. You could hear the burgers sizzling on the grill and a distant dog barking. "I am also his physical therapist, his pain specialist, and I consult with his neurologist. I have been treating Marcus since 47 hours after his accident 2 years ago." Aunt Linda let out a nervous, high-pitched laugh. "Well, doctor, you must be proud. Your patient is walking just fine when nobody is looking." Dr. Chen didn't smile. "Actually," he said, pulling out his phone, "I have something everyone needs to see." He held the screen up. An X-ray glowed in the sunlight. "This is Marcus's lumbar spine, L4 and L5. See these metal rods, 4 of them, and these 14 screws. That's from a 7-hour spinal fusion surgery I performed 14 months ago." Nobody breathed. "Marcus stands in therapy because we are systematically training his body to manage short distances with a walker. He can handle about 47 meters before the nerve damage triggers unbearable pain. That is roughly 5 minutes of mobility. Then the damaged nerves misfire and he experiences sensations like being shocked with a cattle prod." He swiped the screen. "Here is his sciatic nerve. This darkness, permanent damage. That is why his leg gives out without warning. He has no proprioception in that limb." He swiped again. "This is a video I recorded 7 minutes ago. Starting from when I arrived at this gathering." He hit play. The speakers blared Tyler's voice. "Stop faking for attention. The sound of my fall, the chanting, the laughter, doctor." Chen let it run for 30 seconds before killing the audio. "I recorded everything. The assault, the verbal abuse. The collective humiliation of a disabled man by his own blood." He looked directly at Uncle Richard. "You aren't the only one gathering evidence today, Richard." Richard's hand began to tremble, his phone still held high. Tyler stumbled back, hitting the picnic table. We thought. You thought wrong." Dr. Chen cut him off, his voice like ice. "You didn't ask, you didn't review medical records. You didn't care to understand what your brother has endured. You simply chose the easiest path, assuming he was a liar because it was more convenient than facing the fact that tragedy happens to good people." He knelt beside me, his hands moving with professional grace. "Rate your pain, Marcus." 8, I whispered. "Maybe 9. He examined my leg, his expression turning grave. "Possible ligament damage. We need imaging." He stood and addressed the crowd. "Someone get his wheelchair. Now." Mom rushed forward, tears streaming down her face, and righted the chair. Dr. Chen helped me into it with precision. The crowd was paralyzed. Some were crying, most were staring at their feet. My grandmother had stopped fanning herself. "I came here today because Marcus asked me to, Doctor." Chen projected his voice across the yard. He knew this confrontation was coming. He's heard the whispers, the jokes at holidays about how convenient his condition is. He wanted a witness. He pulled a business card from his pocket and thrust it at Tyler. "That is my lawyer. She specializes in disability rights litigation. I am filing a police report tomorrow for assault, along with a civil suit for battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress." Tyler stared at the card as if it were a bomb. "My testimony as his surgeon will be very compelling," Dr. Chen continued. "I have 2 years of medical documentation, x-rays, and nerve studies, and I have Richard's video." "Thank you for that, Richard. It proves conspiracy to harass a disabled person." Dr. Chen grabbed the handles of my chair. "Everyone who participated in that chant is on camera. I wonder how that will play in court, or on the local news." He turned to Tyler. "Did you know that assaulting a disabled veteran can carry enhanced penalties? Marcus served 4 years in the National Guard. This is a potential federal case." The silence was suffocating. Dr. Chen wheeled me toward the driveway. "We're leaving. He has an appointment at the ER. We'll be documenting these injuries, and every cent of the medical bills will be added to the lawsuit." He pushed me to the van, the modified Honda Odyssey my mother had gone into debt to buy. As we loaded up, Tyler scrambled toward the window, banging on the glass. "Marcus, please, I didn't know, I'm sorry." I rolled the window down a crack. "You want to know the worst part, Tyler? I called you 3 times after my surgery. I sent texts. I invited you to my appointments. You chose to believe I was a con artist because it was easier than believing I was hurt." I rolled the window up. The ER at Northwestern was a blur of efficiency, thanks to Dr. Chen. X-rays confirmed a torn lateral collateral ligament. Another surgery, another 6 weeks of setback. While waiting, I asked him, "Why did you really come?" "Because," he said quietly, "I've watched too many families destroy themselves over spinal injuries. I've seen them abandon the ones they should protect because they'd rather blame the victim than accept that life is cruel. I came to document the truth. What they do with it is their problem." The police report was filed on Monday. Detective Gonzalez from the Northbrook PD was clear. "This is aggravated battery against a disabled person. A Class 2 felony." The video leaked, then went viral. By Thursday, it had millions of views. Tyler's life shattered. He was fired, his girlfriend left him, and the video followed him online. My mother called weeks later, pleading for me to drop the charges because he was living in his car. "He made a choice, Mom," I said. "He chose to assault a disabled person. Now he gets to experience the consequences." The civil suit settled months later. Tyler pleaded guilty, receiving 2 years of probation and anger management. The settlement was $127,000, covering my medical debt and pain and suffering. 6 months later, I ran into Tyler at the rehab clinic. He was doing court-ordered community service. He looked different, haggard, older. "I'm sorry, Marcus," he whispered. "I didn't understand. Do you think you'll ever forgive me?" "I don't know," I said. "Ask me in a year." A year later, at a different clinic where he was now working as a paid aide, he asked again. This time, I told him, "I forgive you for being ignorant. I forgive you for not asking questions, but I don't forgive you for the cruelty. I don't forgive you for the assault. That stays with you." "That's fair," he said. "But," I added, "I see you working with patients. I see you learning. You aren't the same person who pushed me. That matters." 3 years later, Mom called to invite me to Thanksgiving. "Tyler will be there," she said. "They hope you come." "Will they apologize?" I asked. "Specifically for what they did." Most didn't, but Aunt Karen sent a 5-page letter. Cousin Sarah sent a card, and Tyler showed up at my door with a folder. Inside were letters from 12 patients he'd helped, people who spoke to his kindness and patience. He apologized again, not for redemption, but for the truth of his actions. I invited him in. We talked for hours. I didn't forgive him for everything, and maybe I never will. But I saw that he had changed, and in a world that often refuses to admit it was wrong, perhaps that was enough.